party like an indictment party, cause an indictment party don't stop once, twice, woo! 3 times indicted. Big Jack Smith, I love you. I'll say it again once, twiggity, twice, woo! 3 times indicted. Going for 4 because they're gonna get you in Georgia. Georgia? Oh, jiggity, Georgia. Georgia's on my mind. Woo! Woo!
All right, guys. So I love me some Trump derangement syndrome meltdowns, okay? And with Trump seemingly being the front runner in the Republican primary, it seems like he's gonna win it, okay? As far as right now, the meltdowns are going to start coming in mass, okay? You're going to see the media start to freak out and lose their minds at the idea, at the thought of Trump becoming president again. They're going to start making all types of wild claims about what's going to happen to our democracy, right? When Trump becomes president again. And I'm saying win because I have faith that if Trump wins the primary, that he can win the general, despite what some people believe. I do believe that it is possible for Trump to win again. And I think that people should have hope and, go out there and vote, right? But with that being said, again, you have some epic meltdowns that are happening already, okay? And I want to play a few. I want to play 2 actually at the same time. I want to play one from MSNBC who, throws a tantrum and a fit over this idea that Trump could take MSNBC off air, okay? Which is ironic considering that network and the things that they call for in the past. And then I want to play a clip of Eminem and a resurfaced video of him having a full-blown Trump derangement syndrome meltdown as well, because apparently Eminem hates Trump, okay? And there's a resurfaced clip. I'm not sure exactly when it was filmed, but there's a resurfaced clip of him losing his mind over Trump. And it's extremely, extremely, extremely satisfying and entertaining to see this man lose his mind over Trump, right? So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll these clips.
Weaken our democracy.
I mean, yeah, you look at January the 6th, you look at what happened in Tennessee, Donnie, where they kick out 2 black members for protesting. You look at what's happening all over the country. You look even at Ohio, where they try to go from 50% to 60%. You look at what's happening in Florida, where Ron DeSantis kicks out an elected official that got 67% of the vote because he doesn't like her politics. And she got 67% of the vote campaigning on those political positions. And like I said yesterday, this is what I don't get about Republicans. So maybe she's a little too progressive on crime issues for maybe my taste or your taste or the Rev's taste or something. I don't know. Maybe she is. But that's irrelevant. That's what she campaigned on, got 67%. What makes these people think that there's not going to be a Democrat or an independent in the future that fires people who are conservative because they don't like their politics? Like the fact that these Republicans think they can do all of these things that damage constitutional norms and political norms and it's not going to come back and haunt them later really shows how ignorant they are.
The ignorance comes down to a simple thought, and I think the vice president's answer about what she wakes up about, what she wakes up in the morning, thinks about democracy is the thing we all should be thinking about.
And by the way, that wasn't supposed to be a big issue in 22. It ended up being a big issue in 22.
Make no mistake about it, and this is why I get so enraged with not the far-right fringe, but the Republican, the establishment Republicans. Right. Do you not understand that if Donald Trump wins, nothing else matters because it's over? Morning Joe might act, just to take a little example, Morning Joe might not exist anymore because Donald Trump has said, as all autocrats say, what they will do. And he said, if I'm elected, I want the FCC reporting directly into me. And he will cancel the show. I mean, you need to think that, excuse me, that extreme. It's over. Freedom is over if Donald Trump gets elected. It's that simple. No other issue matters. Every other issue sprinkles down from that. However you feel about the economy, however you feel about whatever issue you're dealing with, we turn into an autocracy. What our forefathers fought for 250 years ago is over. That's what's at stake at this election. Everything else is a subtext to that.
Well, I mean, you look at what's happened in Hungary. You look what's happened with Orban. Orban didn't take broadcasters out that
When I start talking about Trump, I get too flustered in my head, and the shit that I want to say, there's too many things I want to say at once. So sometimes I start talking and I'm not able to convey the message the right way because I just get flustered and frustrated. Watching him play to his base that thinks that he cares about them, and it's actually the people that he cares about the fucking least. If you're talking about his core being, you know, a majority white middle class, what I don't understand is how in the fuck do you feel like you relate to a billionaire who has never known struggle his entire fucking life? I will say this, he talks a good one. And if you're in his base, you're a core, let's say you're going to the rallies or whatever, you watch him on TV, you hear him talking this shit, there's part of me that understands, like, all right, he's somehow still got them because he's brainwashing them into thinking that something great is gonna happen. Nothing's happening. Nothing is happening. I don't know, man. I get really flustered when I talk about it.
Pure comedy. Absolute pure comedy, okay? I love a good Trump derangement syndrome meltdown because that's what you witnessed there from MSNBC and Eminem. Now, I want to address MSNBC, okay? Because, again, this is like the pot calling the kettle black in regards to their fears of Trump shutting down, I guess, freedom and democracy and their network, right? Again, because this is the same network who championed calls to shut down Fox News, including one of their analysts on MSNBC, basically questioned whether or not Fox News should be allowed to exist, right? And there's been calls from left-wing revolutionaries to shut down Fox News, so much so that, again, you have NPR writing an article here explaining why there's little that the government can do to actually shut down Fox News, right? Again, to the disappointment of the radical left authoritarian liberals, right? They've been pushing and begging, okay, on MSNBC, on CNN, on these liberal networks to shut down Fox News, okay? They've been begging Biden, the Biden administration, to do something about it, right? But yet, again, these people want to boo-hoo, whine, and cry and scream about the possibility of Trump shutting down MSNBC and Morning Joe. If only Trump had the cojones to do that, right? I wish that Trump had the cojones to do that, okay? But again, I you know, again, I'm being tongue-in-cheek, okay? I'm not actually serious about that. I'm glad that Trump, you know, is not that type of authoritarian. I don't think that he's ever even mentioned the possibility of trying to shut down a news network because they disagree with him politically. Trump is not that type of authoritarian. But again, you know who is that type of authoritarian that will try to silence their political opponents from being able to speak freely on these platforms? Biden, right? Which is what the Biden administration did. They colluded with Facebook and with Twitter to shut down free speech, to shut down speech from political opponents that went against the regime, okay? This is the same administration that tried to force an experimental vaccine into people's arms, okay? This is the same administration that basically forced shutdowns of schools, okay, that, you know, disproportionately affected black people, okay, really dumbed down kids, okay? This administration is the same administration that tried to subvert the Supreme Court and force landlords to keep tenants in properties when the tenants weren't paying rent, okay? Again, this administration that we have is the most authoritarian, fascist administration that we've ever seen in the history of this country. And these people want to boo-hoo, whine, and complain about what Trump might do in regards to shutting down democracy. Again, Trump couldn't even stay in office after January 6th, right? Trump, the so-called dictator, okay, the so-called Putin admirer, right? When it came time for Trump to leave office, he left, right? He took his ball and he went home. He didn't stay. A real dictator, right? Somebody who's actually really about that life would have stayed in office. He would be like, you know what? I'm declaring martial law, right? I'm taking control of the military. I'm staying in office, and you have to kill me if you want me to step down, right? If you want to get me out. Trump didn't do that, right? Trump left, okay? He left, which tells you that the guy is not nearly the dictator, the authoritarian that these people are fear-mongering about. He's not even close, right? Not even close, okay? And it's a good thing that he's not, right? It's a good thing that Trump is not willing to go that far. And again, all this fear-mongering about Trump is just, it's ridiculous, okay? Simply because he expressed a opinion that apparently you can't express about elections unless you're a Democrat, right? Back in 2016, totally fine, totally legitimate, totally okay to question the outcome of the election when they was claiming that Trump stole the election from Hillary, okay, a false claim, okay? Trump stole the election from Hillary with the help of Putin because him and, Putin are butt buddies, and, Trump liked getting pissed on by Russian prostitutes, all types of conspiracies pushed by the media, right? Again, networks like MSNBC who aired these false conspiracies. They want Fox News shut down for airing quote unquote false conspiracies, right? That lead to real world violence. Again, this is the same network that falsely tried to imply that a constitutional right was taken away when it comes to abortion when Roe v. Wade was overturned, and that Roe v. Wade, or that abortion is now illegal, right? Illegal, okay? In this country. That's not true, okay? That has led to violence. This is the same network that peddled the idea that white cops, racist white cops, are in the streets trying to kill black folks, and that black people's lives are actively in danger because of these white cops, which led to political violence, the worst political violence we've ever seen in this country, right? This is the same network that peddles this idea that there's some type of, attack against trans people, in which trans people are losing their lives because of right-wing extremism that, again, you could argue has led to radicalization of individuals that, has led to real-world violence, right? This network, MSNBC, also platformed the guy that openly called for the assassination of Trump. Okay? Again, this network is the most extreme network that I've ever seen in my life. Again, for as much criticism as we give CNN, MSNBC deserves way more, right? Again, this is an extremist network, okay? They quite literally, in my opinion, I believe they sponsor extremism against the GOP, right? And conservatives and people that they disagree with politically. So they have no room to talk. If a network should be taken off air, if there's one network that should be taken off air, okay, it is MSNBC, right? I'm just saying. But again, they openly argue for Fox News to be taken off air, but then they want to boohoo, whine, and cry at the idea that Trump might take that network off air, which, again, I don't think that Trump is going to do, right? I don't think there's any possibility of Trump doing that. But that leads me to Eminem, who is, flabbergasted by this idea that people would support Trump. And I'm guessing that he is upset by this idea that, I guess, middle class or working class white people support Trump. Again, I don't know exactly when he went on this insane rant. I'm assuming that maybe it was after the election, maybe it was before the election, I'm not sure. But regardless, I don't think Eminem realizes that the average person in this country is struggling heavily under Joe Biden, right? Again, I've done multiple videos about people who are just not doing well in this economy, okay? Inflation is out of control. Real wage growth has declined. People are objectively poorer, okay? The dollar does not buy as much as it used to under Trump. And Eminem comes out here and rages over the fact that people support a man in which, when he was in office, we had one of the greatest economies that we've ever seen. Okay. Trump basically had this country in great shape. Our borders were more secure. We were respected on the world stage. And people just in general felt that their lives were better, that their businesses were booming. Okay, you heard that so much. People were like, yeah, I had money under Trump, right? I felt richer under Trump. And now under Biden, I feel significantly poor. But rich man, Eminem, who's not nearly as affected by Biden's policies, particularly, again, when we're talking about inflation, he doesn't understand it. He doesn't get it. I don't understand why people want to support Trump. I don't understand how people can relate to a billionaire and try to pretend that he understands normal people. Whatever he said, right? And it's like, well, look, here's the thing about Trump. Trump, he doesn't come off as one of these fake, phony politicians that pretends like they actually relate to the everyday, average American, right? Like, for example, Mike Pence pumping gas or pretending to pump gas in that cringe ad in his attempt to try to pretend that he can actually relate to normal people. When it's clear and obvious that the guy is such an elitist that he probably doesn't even pump his own gas, right? That, or he's either woefully unaware of, the optics of faking pumping gas and what that might look like for his campaign, right? Both of those things are pretty bad. But, I think what a lot of people like about Trump is his authenticity and the fact that he does not shy away from the idea that he's a billionaire, right? He doesn't shy away from the idea that, I've accomplished a lot in business. I am successful, and I don't necessarily need to be president. I'm simply running. I'm simply in politics because of you, because otherwise my life will be so much better if I had not run for president, right? And I think that is objectively true. I think Trump is one of the very few politicians who has lost money from running for office, right? Again, most of the time you see politicians make a whole lot of money. They get richer, okay? They either get rich or they get richer in office. Trump is one of the only politicians to actually lose money, right, from being in office, okay? So again, the guy is not really gaining anything out of this, and I think a lot of people kind of appreciate the fact that with Trump, what you see is kind of what you get, right? What he says is kind of what you get. What he says is stuff that he actually really believes, and I think people appreciate that, and that is a switch up from most politicians, right? But again, Eminem doesn't understand that because he's the one that's actually been brainwashed. He's the one been brainwashed into hating Trump, even though objectively under Trump, the economy and life was better for Americans than it is under Biden. But again, this guy doesn't understand. Why do people support Trump? Well, I don't understand why anybody would support this man. Well, it's like, well, again, if you wasn't brainwashed by the liberal media, you would understand. If you wasn't an elitist living in your elitist bubble, right? You would understand. If you was the average American that is struggling to pay bills, struggling to get by, dealing with crime, dealing with high taxes, that is eating up their income, can barely feed their families, you would understand. But because you don't deal with that, that's why you don't understand. Because Eminem probably watches MSNBC, that's why he doesn't understand, right? Again, it's not Trump supporters that are brainwashed here. It's actually people like you, right? It's the Eminems of the world that are brainwashed. Okay, and that is why he's struggling so much to cope with the reality of Trump. Again, it's pretty comical to see. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.